Howdy ho, my peeps. Well, it is January 19th, around 11 o'clock at night, or maybe a little bit longer. And I'm sitting here on the eve of destruction, eating the only sugary thing I could find, which are these stale candy canes. I think they're like 3 years old. I keep using them over and over again, but you know, any carb in a storm, right? So I figured I might as well tell you guys the Neighbors from Hell 3.0 story. Now, I know I sounded really gleeful when I mentioned that the next installment of the story was coming up with a lot of drama. And you know, it really isn't a gleeful situation. It's actually a sad situation. So let me tell you the story. You know about Crazy Britches that lives behind me. She hasn't been too much trouble lately. Then there's the scary man who bought the property 15 acres across the street from me, moved in a bunch of people in trailers that come and go in the middle of the night, sold it to a Mexican family. Guy owns a tire shop. His wife is their accountant. We had some issues with him at first, but they're actually really cool people. We talked about stuff like the guns being discharged, and he said that, you know, that they swatted that down real fast, and they must have, because there's been no more issues at all. He had a hard time figuring out how to keep his animals in his pasture, but he pretty much, I mean, he spent a lot of money putting up fencing and building a corral and stuff. I mean, he really is doing his best. So, you know, now that we've settled in, I'm really happy to have him as a neighbor. You know, nice guy. His wife's especially sweet. So I get this phone call last week from our other neighbor who says, Cheryl, do you think you could come over right now? Well, it was like 8:30 at night, and I've been going to bed early lately, and I was still getting over my cold, and I said, well, you know, I'm still kind of sick. Are you sure you want me over? She says, yeah, the neighbors are here. They want to talk to you. Okay. All right. Pulled on my clothes, grabbed Grant. We hopped in the truck, drove up there, go in, you know, howdy ho, yada, yada, yada. I sit down. Apparently what happened was that the evil, amoral man that sold them their property is now trying to kick them out. Now, this sort of thing, the whole reason people do for sale by owners, not the whole reason, everyone I've ever known who's done a for sale by owner, let me put it to you that way, and I've only known 2 people, so that's not much of a sampling, but both people, the point of doing a for sale by owner was to take a lot of money up front from the person that they're selling to, and then foreclose on them for the first possible reason, and then they keep all their money. Now, these guys across the street from me, they put down about 50 grand, and this was about 6 months ago. First of all, they gave the guy the money in cash, so there wasn't like a cashier's check or something like that. They have a receipt, but still. They're making these huge payments. They paid $100,000 more for the property than it's really worth. But they're young, with a business and a half. They're overextended. They've got the cash flow. They just didn't have the ability to get the loan. So they figured that this for sale by owner thing would work really well, right? And the thing is, the neighbors across the way, although I hadn't spoken to them, the neighbors, their next door neighbors, called, and we were talking about it, and they said, you know, we talked to these guys, and we told them, be very, very careful dealing with this man, because he will find a way to screw you. So, here it is. What happened was, the woman has a pit bull in the contract, which might not even be legal. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's a valid contract. I read through it, and it's got a bunch of holes. But anyway, she wasn't supposed to have a pit bull. However, when they were signing the contracts, she tells the guy, the landlord, I guess we're going to call him now, that, you know, she has this papered dog. It's an American pit bull. She does not want to get rid of it. She was really worried about that. And he says, oh, no. He says, don't worry about it. He says, I just need to have this in the contract for insurance reasons. Well, come to find out he didn't have any insurance on the property, but that's a separate issue. Okay, so, all right. So that was kind of a verbal okay. And then the main thing that happened is these people got late on their payment. I think they were like oh, I guess they were maybe 15 days late on their payment. And so they get this notification saying that the guy's going to kick them out. And he listed a bunch of stuff. He listed the late payment, which could very well be an issue. A valid issue, I don't know. I mean, it all depends on what their status is. If they're actually buyers or if they are going to be considered renters in the face of the law, we're not sure. Anyway, and then the dog. And then another thing he said, that they had piles of trash. These people are clean. There are no piles of trash anywhere, with the exception of the pile of trash that the landlord left. He left a big pile of trash. They didn't know what to do with it. They just left it there. So the landlord cites these things, and I'm looking at, his letter of being, eviction, and I'm looking at their contract. I'm like, you know what? I said, you know something, you guys? I know enough about the law to know that you need an attorney, somebody who knows this stuff, because in California, the law leans towards the right of the tenant as opposed to the landlord. And so that could be in your favor. I said, but, we knew this was going to happen. And the poor guy's like hanging his head. I know I shouldn't have done it, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I gave him the name of a law firm that I've worked with before. And I said, call him. Tell them that I referred you. Not that it's going to matter to any of them there, but they will look that up, and they'll see that I was a former client, although nobody there knows me or anything. And I said, you need to find out where you stand legally on this contract, on your arrearage, on the dog, on the trash, all of that. You need to find out if the law is going to look at you as a tenant-landlord situation, or if there is another designation under the law because you are supposedly buying this place from him. So they did get an appointment with an attorney. I don't know if they've gone to talk to them. I haven't heard anything else about it. But here's just what gets worse. So we had all this rain, right? And these people are trying so hard to keep their place. So they decided that they were going to go ahead and clean up their landlord's trash, right? So this young buyer, he also has kind of a sideline business doing U-Hauls. He rents U-Hauls. I guess that's a U-Haul franchise, I guess you would call it. Anyhow, so he's out there with a U-Haul out in the middle of the soggy pasture. His workers are shoveling all the trash into this U-Haul, right? They're going to take it to the dump. They go to leave the pasture and they sunk in the mud. Just sunk in the mud. Spun the tires, down they went, dug a big hole. They were stuck. So, about 6 hours later, here comes the guy with a backhoe. Big old backhoe. Pulls back into the pasture. They offload the backhoe, hooks it up. He starts to pull out the U-Haul, which has a trailer attached to it. He buried that backhoe 5 or 6 feet in the mud. So here you've got this big long string of heavy equipment buried in the mud. I so hoped that it was the landlord who had done all of this, because one of the things that was being pulled was something that belonged to the landlord, this house trailer, right? No luck. Turned out it was just this family trying to dot their I's and cross their T's and make sure everything's been taken care of and haul out the landlord's trash even though it wasn't theirs, and just trying to do the best they could do to rectify the situation. And so that crap was stuck in the pasture for a couple of days. Finally they managed to dig it out. So I'm just feeling, the whole thing is making me angry. And here's why it's making me angry. Here you've got this completely amoral man, does not care about anything except for making money. And he makes money by screwing other people. And I know this because I know part of his past history. So this isn't just a decision I've made because of what's going on across the street. I mean, this is something that I know of because of things he actually told me, the scary old man. And then, so he's amoral, he takes advantage of people to make money, and he is profoundly disrespectful to his woman, wife, girlfriend, whatever she is. He made a lot of nasty, lewd comments to this other neighbor about the woman. Just real tacky stuff. Things you would never say about somebody that you loved or cared for, right? So, he's a misogynist. And he's victimizing this family who was stupid enough to get involved in the situation with him anyway. And the whole thing reminds me of the election. My next door neighbors remind me of everybody who voted for Trump. This guy reminds me of Trump. He does all the stuff that Trump would do. He's boastful. He's arrogant. He's an asshole. He is he's a predator. He is disrespectful of women. I have no idea if he's a bigot. I have seen no evidence of that, but who knows? He might very well be that as well. And so every time I look across the street and I see this stuff going on, it just makes my blood boil. So here we go. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, right? But I'm talking about it as I'm eating this really nasty candy cane. Yeah, I'm just not getting over this. Not getting over this. I feel as if, as we've marched inexorably towards tomorrow and all the days that are going to stretch in front of it, it's like I felt this oppressive weight of evil just bearing down on me. And it's pushing me down. And it's making it so I can't think. I can't plan. I'm not functioning really well. I don't even want to stay awake. I want to be in my bed sleeping, or watching, happy videos on YouTube. Yeah, it's really, really affecting me. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just acting like a special snowflake. I don't know. All I know is that it's really, it's really screwing with my life. So, that's the 3.0. It's not nearly as exciting as the first two things that happened, but it just highlights to me just how evil and scantless people can be. And that makes me sad. And it makes me tired. And it makes me want to eat nasty candy canes. So, there you go. I hope you guys are all okay. I hope you guys have gotten past this. You've gotten through it. You're like, be an adult about it. And those of you that love him are, still thinking he's going to do you some good. And those of you like me who aren't loving him are going to be like, well, you know what? We'll see. There's nothing we can really do about it. So, let's focus on the things we need to focus on and not worry about that. I really, really hope you guys are doing that, because I'm not. And this is not a very good place to be in. And I can't talk myself out of it. So, there we go. On that note, I'm going to turn off my camera and eat some more candy canes. Bye!